Imagine a prince once adored now standing in a room of half-hearted applause peddling empty words for a paycheck. Prince Harry's latest appearance in New York was supposed to be a triumph, a story of purpose and service. Instead, it felt like a corporate lunch meeting gone wrong. $500,000 for platitudes like the longer you live, the more experience you have. Really, Harry, this is the man who walked away from royalty promising to change the world. But something's off. His eyes look vacant, his words rehearsed, and the buzz around him non-existent. Meanwhile, Meghan Markle posts curated beach photos recycling her old influencer playbook pretending everything's fine. But the cracks are showing. They're snubbed by Hollywood's elite, ignored by tabloids, and spiraling in a post-royal mess. What happened to the couple who had it all? How did they go from palace to punchline today? We're diving into Harry's public unraveling, Meghan's desperate rebrand, and the cold truth about their fading star. From a tasteless wine launch on Princess Diana's birthday to being left off Jeff Bezos' wedding list, their choices scream disconnect. Stay with us as we unpack why their empire is crumbling and what it means for their future. This is a story of lost purpose, broken trust, and a royal dream gone wrong. Let's get started. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were once the golden couple of the British royal family, captivating the world with their modern fairy tale. Their 2018 wedding was a global spectacle, blending royal tradition with Hollywood glamour. But in 2020, they shocked the world with Megxit stepping back from royal duties to carve out a new life in California. They promised to redefine service, leveraging their platform for global impact through deals with Netflix, Spotify, and their Archewell Foundation. The world waited for their next move, expecting innovation and influence. Fast forward to 2025, and the reality is starkly different. Harry's recent appearance at the Nexus Global Summit in New York, reportedly earning him $500,000, was met with tepid applause and online mockery. His speech, filled with vague platitudes about moving from duty to purpose, fell flat, described by critics as the ramblings of a man lost. Meanwhile, Meghan's return to Instagram, posting curated beach photos and fruit-picking snaps, feels like a throwback to her pre-royal blog The Tig. These moves meant to signal a thriving brand, instead highlight their exclusion from high-profile events like Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's star-studded wedding underscores their fading relevance in Hollywood's elite circles. Once welcomed by the likes of Oprah and Kris Jenner, they're now sidelined, their brand tainted by accusations of inauthenticity and opportunism. The couple's narrative of being victims, Harry claiming Meghan was the most trolled person in 2018, or lamenting lost royal privileges, clashes with their actions like launching a wine brand on Princess Diana's birthday, a move many call tone-deaf given her death in a drunk driving crash. As their projects falter and public interest wanes, the question looms: how did they fall so far so fast? Let's dive deeper into the choices that led them here. Prince Harry's New York appearance at the Nexus Global Summit was billed as a moment of inspiration, a chance to share his journey from royal duty to personal purpose. For a reported $500, zero attendees expected profound insight. What they got was a man who seemed adrift, delivering lines like, "The longer we are on planet Earth, the more experience we have." The room, filled with business professionals, offered only polite claps, their phones out not for excitement, but to capture the spectacle of a prince reduced to a corporate speaker. Critics on platforms like X called it a public breakdown, pointing to Harry's vacant demeanor and recycled talking points. His claim that Meghan was the most trolled person in 2018, used to justify their focus on digital responsibility, rang hollow, especially as detractors noted Meghan's own online supporters often target others, including Kate Middleton and King Charles. Meghan's Instagram comeback, meant to revive her influencer roots, only deepened the narrative of inauthenticity. Her post-speech selfies and staged fruit-picking scenes mimic her 2016 blog, The Tig, down to the captions like weekend vibes. But the polish feels forced. Commenters, including Meghan's mole, flagged her $190 zero in bracelets and Princess Diana's heirlooms as out of touch for casual gardening shots. One ex-post quipped, "Who picks apricots in a $150 zero Cartier watch?" the timing of her posts, carefully avoiding overlap with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding, suggests a calculated move to stay relevant without competing with the listers. Yet their absence from that Venice event attended by Oprah and Gayle King spoke volumes. Hollywood's elite, once cozy with the couple, now keep their distance, wary of their toxic brand. The couple's latest venture, a wine launch tied to Cundy Family Winery, has sparked outrage. Set for Princess Diana's birthday, the move is seen as heartless, given her 1997 death in a drunk driving crash. Sources like Meghan's mole and Meghan's spare on X slammed it as a shameless cash grab, with the wine, a sugary rose, labeled a cheap imitation of celebrity brands like Brad Pitt's, which earned $200 million. Meghan's claim of supporting a California winery post-wildfires feels like spin, especially since she's merely licensing the product, not crafting it. As one source told the Mail on Sunday, she tested blends on friends, but the wine's $25 retail price screams mass market, not artisanal. This pattern of licensing, whether jams, dog biscuits, or wine, reveals a brand built on optics, not substance. Their post-Megxit trajectory tells the story. The Netflix and Spotify deals, once hailed as game changers, fizzled. Spotify dropped their podcast after one season. Netflix's projects like Harry's polo documentary drew yawns. Archewell's impact is negligible, with no major initiatives gaining traction. Harry's push for a part-time royal role, Commonwealth travel, and security was rejected, leaving him directionless. As Brittany from Royal News Network noted, Meghan seems to revel in her freedom, but Harry appears haunted, missing the structure of royal life. His speeches lean on Meghan's talking points like digital trolling or climate change, but lack depth or originality. Ex-users mock his education, pointing out he barely graduated high school, questioning what wisdom he offers for such high fees. Pause for a moment. Picture Harry, once a charismatic prince, now reciting clichés to a bored crowd. Now picture Meghan staging photos to look relatable while dripping in Diana's jewels. This isn't the dream they sold us. It's a brand collapsing under its own weight. Let's break down why their choices are backfiring and who's paying the price. The unraveling of Harry and Meghan's brand is a case study in squandered potential and misaligned priorities. Stakeholders, fans, critics, Hollywood elites, and the royal family are all impacted by their choices. Harry's New York speech, costing attendees a reported $500, was a stark symbol of his fall. Once a beloved figure whose military service and Invictus Games work inspired millions, he now appears as a man without a script, leaning on tired tropes about purpose and digital responsibility. His claim that Meghan was the most trolled person in 2018 ignores the irony that her supporters, dubbed the Sussex Squad on X, are often accused of targeting figures like Kate Middleton and Queen Camilla. This contradiction alienates fans who once saw Harry as authentic, leaving them questioning his self-awareness. As Brittany from Royal News Network put it, he's spiraling, stuck in a post-Megxit loop, unable to reclaim the purpose he lost when he left the royal family. Meghan's role is equally telling. Her Instagram posts, carefully curated to evoke her pre-royal tag days, aim for relatability but scream privilege. Wearing $190 in jewelry to pick fruit isn't just tone-deaf. It's a branding misstep that fuels perceptions of inauthenticity. Ex-users like Meghan's mole and Princess Markle call her out for recycling decade-old content with captions like weekend vibes that feel ripped from a Pinterest board. Her exclusion from Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's wedding, a glitzy affair attended by Oprah and Gayle King, signals Hollywood's rejection. As one ex-post noted, Meghan thought a royal title would buy her a list status, but she's brand poison. Hollywood thrives on discretion, and the couple's willingness to air royal grievances in interviews and Harry's memoir Spare makes them liabilities. Their brand, once poised for global impact, now drags down anyone associated with it. The royal family, too, feels the fallout. Harry's public criticisms, calling out King Charles for denying security or implying family dysfunction, have strained ties irreparably. His shock at Charles' refusal to meet him, as noted on X, shows a disconnect from reality. The monarchy, meanwhile, moves on with Kate and William stepping into the spotlight, leaving Harry as a footnote. The public, especially in the UK, feels betrayed by a prince who traded duty for profit, with X posts lamenting his transformation from respected royal to paid speaker. Meghan's wine launch timed for Princess Diana's birthday is perhaps the most egregious misstep. The insensitivity of promoting alcohol on the anniversary of Diana's death in a drunk driving crash has sparked outrage on X, with users like Harry Meghan Spare calling it heartless. Meghan's claim of supporting a local winery post-wildfires feels like a hollow PR move, especially since she's merely licensing a cheap rose, not crafting it like Brad Pitt or George Clooney, whose authentic involvement in their brands yielded millions. This move not only alienates Diana's fans, but also cheapens her legacy, with Harry's complicity raising questions about his judgment. So why can't Harry and Meghan see the damage they're doing? Are they too entrenched in their narrative of victimhood to pivot? And what does this mean for their future in a world that's moving on without them? Let's explore the broader context and what history tells us about fallen stars. The decline of Harry and Meghan's brand isn't just a personal failure. It mirrors historical patterns of public figures who overplay their hand and lose public trust. Think of Edward VI, who abdicated the throne in 1936 for Wallis Simpson. Like Harry, he traded royal duty for personal freedom, only to spend decades in exile, his relevance fading as the monarchy thrived without him. X posts often draw this parallel, noting how Edward's later years were marked by aimless socialite ventures, much like Harry's paid speeches and Meghan's recycled influencer antics. History shows that public goodwill once squandered is hard to regain, especially when authenticity is questioned. In a modern context, Harry and Meghan's struggles reflect the pitfalls of celebrity branding in the digital age. The rise of social media demands transparency, yet their curated image, Meghan's staged Instagram posts, Harry's rehearsed platitudes, feels like a throwback to an era of controlled PR. Compare them to figures like Taylor Swift, who uses authenticity to connect with fans, or even Prince William and Kate, whose carefully crafted but relatable public personas maintain broad appeal. X users point out that Meghan's weekend vibes posts dripping with privilege clash with the raw, unfiltered content that dominates platforms like TikTok and Instagram Reels. Her failure to evolve beyond 2016's The Tig aesthetic puts her at odds with a culture that values realness over polish. Regionally, their missteps resonate differently. In the UK, Harry's betrayal of royal duty stings deeply, with tabloids and X posts framing him as a prodigal son who can't return. The British public, steeped in monarchy's traditions, sees his $500 zero speeches as cashing in on a title meant for service. In the US, where reinvention is celebrated, their initial post-Megxit buzz has faded as Hollywood distances itself. The Bezos-Sanchez wedding snub, widely discussed on X, underscores their fall from grace among elites who prize discretion. Globally, their narrative of victimhood, touting Meghan as the most trolled while ignoring their own online controversies, falls flat in a world grappling with real crises, from climate change to economic instability. The wine launch on Diana's birthday amplifies this disconnect. Historically, leveraging a loved one's legacy for profit has backfired. Look at the criticism faced by Elvis Presley's estate for over-commercializing his image. Diana's global adoration makes Meghan's move particularly risky, with X users calling it a shameless cash grab. The broader implication: in an era where consumers demand ethical branding, their tone-deaf choices alienate even sympathetic audiences. Picture Diana's fans mourning her on her birthday, only to see her memory tied to a cheap rose. Feel the sting of Harry's lost potential, a prince reduced to a punchline. Now ask, can they recover, or are they doomed to repeat these mistakes? Let's look at what's next for this fading duo. What lies ahead for Harry and Meghan as their brand continues to falter? Several scenarios emerge, each hinging on their ability to pivot or their refusal to do so. The most likely path is continued decline. Their reliance on licensing deals like the Cundy family winery rose suggests a pattern of low-effort ventures that fail to resonate. If Meghan persists with her recycled Instagram aesthetic, staged photos, and shoogy captions like "Pick Snack Repeat," She risks becoming a caricature of an influencer, irrelevant in a digital landscape that demands authenticity. Harry's paid speeches, already mocked on X for their lack of substance, could dwindle as audiences tire of his cliché. Their exclusion from elite circles like the Bezos-Sanchez wedding may deepen with Hollywood and global influencers, keeping them at arm's length to avoid their toxic brand. Without a major course correction, their relevance could fade entirely, leaving them as cautionary tales of squandered potential. A less likely but possible scenario is a partial recovery through a strategic rebrand. If Harry leans into his Invictus Games work focusing on veterans and service, he could reclaim some goodwill, particularly in the UK, where his military past still resonates. Meghan could shift to philanthropy-driven projects, distancing herself from commercial flops like the wine launch. But this would require humility, acknowledging past missteps and ditching the victim narrative which ex-users criticize as self-inflicted. Their history of burning bridges, from royal family rifts to Hollywood snubs, makes this path steep. Trust once lost is hard to rebuild, and their track record suggests resistance to change. The worst-case scenario is further controversy. Another tone-deaf move like exploiting Diana's legacy or public feuds with the royals could cement their pariah status. X posts already speculate about Meghan's next venture, perhaps another licensing deal timed insensitively. If Harry continues parroting Meghan's talking points without finding his own voice, he risks being seen as a puppet, further eroding his credibility. Legal battles like their push for security or titles could also reignite public backlash, especially in the UK, where sentiment on X leans heavily against them. Look at X, where users like Meghan's Mole and Harry Meghan's Spare dissect their every move, amassing thousands of likes for calling out their inauthenticity. Even fans who once cheered their Megxit rebellion are turning away with comments like "Harry looks lost" and "Meghan's just cashing in." Watch for their next project. Will it be another flop or a surprising pivot? Let's wrap this up with what it all means and how you can stay in the loop. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's journey from royal icons to struggling influencers is a stark lesson in branding gone wrong. Once poised to redefine global service, their post-Megxit choices, Harry's lackluster $500 zero speeches, Meghan's recycled Instagram posts, and their tone-deaf wine launch on Princess Diana's birthday have left them isolated. Hollywood's snub at the Bezos-Sanchez wedding and the X community's relentless critique, from Meghan's Mole to Harry Meghan's Spare, reveal a couple out of touch with their audience. Their narrative of victimhood, like claiming Meghan was the most trolled person, clashes with accusations of their own online aggression, alienating fans and elites alike. The numbers tell the story. Failed Netflix and Spotify deals, a $25 rose that screams cheap, and a brand that's become poison in Hollywood's eyes. History, from Edward VIII's exile to over-commercialized celebrity estates, warns of fading relevance when trust is lost. Harry's haunted demeanor and Meghan's curated facade aren't just personal missteps, they're a betrayal of the purpose they promised. What's next? Will they double down on their flawed strategy, or can they pivot to reclaim some credibility? The stakes are high and the world is watching. Join the conversation, share your thoughts below. Do you think Harry and Meghan can recover, or are they destined to fade? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on their next move, from new ventures to royal reactions. Next time, we'll dive into another royal scandal rocking the headlines. Don't miss it. For more unfiltered takes, check out outspoken.live, where you can catch exclusive after shows and connect directly with the community. Thanks for joining us. Let's keep cutting through the noise together.